but in consulting with my friend Stan, I told him that I will just speak from the heart today. That's what you said. Well, thank you for having me in the absence of the chairman. I'm going to focus my speech on women and the involvement of women and the role of women. And I was reminded last night by the former Prime Minister, who said to me that anytime the party went for battle, that PLP women was always there.
Right.
And in 2019, when women from the ages of 25 to 40 represent the largest voting bloc in this country, we only have one female sitting in cabinet. You can imagine that now. One female sitting in cabinet when women represent the largest voting bloc in our country. Far too often, it seems that women face the same ceilings in politics. And we must ensure as a party that we continue to provide the platform for women to succeed. Not just because they're women, because they're competent, they're able, and they're talented. We are reminded that women are the backbone of this party.
Yes.
They always have been, and they always will be. And if tomorrow, if the leader was to say, meet me in Rawson Square, the women of the PLP would be there.
Yes.
So I think it's only fair, as an institution, we respond to their concerns and uplift them. Women must be more. I don't think in the PLP we've ever used women as tokens, because when we put forward candidates as females, as women, they're competent, they're strong. Let's look back at it. In the last cabinet alone, Melanie Griffin, Hope Sharon, Allison Maynard Gibson, led some of the largest ministries in the government. And that's how modern. So you had financial services, attorney general, social services, transport and aviation, all led by competent women. Matter of fact, I would go further in saying that if we had more female leaders, the Bahamas would be better off.
Amen. Say it again, my boy.
Because you know, every so often I know that you're not going to find anyone more organized in their objectives and their goals than a woman. And we're not going to run women in the next election just because our polls say so. We're going to run them because we believe that they are a key ingredient to our national development. So we're not going to be responding to what the polls say. We're going to be responding to what we believe as a party.
Right.
So I say to you today, because I think it's important, our party is under assault. Whether you want to believe it or not, there are those out there who are seeking to retell our story.
Yes.
And if we allow them, they will. They will rob us of our rich history. They will rob us of our accomplishments. And we have an obligation as PLPs to respond and to defend this institution and to keep the struggle and the fight for the struggle alive. So I say today, women of the PLP, you've always been our ally. You've always been our friend in the struggle. And I know that you will help us shape the next history of the PLP party. And how we will do it is by continuing to put forth strong advocates of the truth, who believe in justice, who believe in empowerment of Bahamians, who believe in fair. My colleague reminded me last night of the scripture. It says that the poor will always be amongst us.
Yes.
But as a party, we have an obligation to ensure that justice is always wheeling their way, and we provide the safety net to protect them. And we must understand that no political institution will respond to the interests of the Bahamian people other than the PLP.
That's right.
We serve one master,
Yes.
or we serve two masters. That's our God and the Bahamian people. We are no sellouts. We don't pander to the rich. We don't bow down to special interests. We respond to one interest, and that interest is the interest of the Bahamian people. And we ought to be reminded, if we are going to be successful as a political organization, to know and to understand that people come first. And we must respond to the concerns of the people. Let me give an example. Governor of the Bahamas proposed at the time to implement a property tax on life and key. Before the Minister of Finance could leave Parliament, Life and Key sent a letter to the government requesting that they change the position. And one day, those concerns were changed. And yet, the concerns of the doctors, the teachers, the nurses, taxi drivers, all fall on deaf ears. And we know that this government won't listen, because this government isn't the people's government. Well, you know, they ran on this slogan, it's the people's time. In Hurricane Doreen, we see how this government abandoned those same people. I watched the Prime Minister give his speech to the United Nations. I thought that he would use it as an opportunity to tell the people the challenges we face in this country. I saw an opportunity missed and squandered. I remember the time when the Prime Minister of the Bahamas was a statesman that represented all Bahamians, not just F&Ms, represented all Bahamians. We have to be real with ourselves, PLPs. This is a government that is using the institutions of the state to prosecute PLPs. And if we are silent, they will continue to do it. And they will do whatever they can to take advantage of institutions to punish PLPs, to play in a narrative that they campaign on, that all PLPs is corrupt. I think it's important. I hear this somewhat of a fight between a new generation of PLPs. I won't say old, but a more wiser generation of PLPs. But I will say this. I am a young PLP. I've always sought to be at the feet of wisdom and to learn. I want to know more about my party. I want to know more about my history. I want to know more about the struggle. I'm only here to be a fellow or common friend with you. I'm not a part of any group that say that all wiser PLPs is go on the side. Because I know in this battle that we are seeking to fight, we will need the wise and the young. We will need the not so old and the youth. There's no fractions between that. PLP is one big family, one big tent. We have a revolving door. If you like our party, you can stay. If you don't, you can leave. And we all know, we all understand. We have an opportunity in the next general election to appoint, to run 34 or more candidates. We have an opportunity to pick from amongst us and our country the best, the brightest, and talented minds. I don't say young, I don't say run young people because they're young. I say run them if they're competent and they're able. I don't say run a woman because she's a woman. I say run her because she's competent and she's able. I don't say run a lawyer because we need more lawyers. I say run them because they're competent and they're able. Our country faces too much challenges. There's too much to lose to run people just because we want to run them. We're in the business of filling seats. We cannot be in the business of filling seats. We know our standard, and we know the standard of the last crew. We can't run people because towards election is running out. We have enough time to find competent and able.
Right now.
And outside an outside competent enable. We need people who can see a new Bahamas with a new horizon, with a new promise for our people. We need people who understand that politics is about serving people. We need people who understand that politics is about advancing the interests of others. I will not play tongue-in-cheek with you, but I know that the challenges our country faces is deep. I will be honest with you. The mandate of this government is gone. Whether you want to believe it or not, the mandate of this government is gone. There's not sufficient time to advance policy and legislation after Hurricane Latrae. In 2016, we, the PLP, told the F&M the impacts of hurricanes on our country. They laughed, called us crazy, called us stupid. They said, what climate change? And now they witnessed the same thing we told them about. Climate change is not politics for me. The last hurricane, we lost lives, and they all were Bahamian, whether they were rich, they were poor. Hurricane Latrae did not discriminate. So I say PLPs, our mission in the next general election is simply put. We have to secure a future for the Bahamian people, a future where all Bahamians could advance, where all Bahamians could compete. Our policies must reflect their advancement. I have this economic theory, it's called womanomics. What is womanomics? Womanomics is where we empower Bahamian women in all sectors of our economy to promote growth, to advance growth, and to create new industries. I believe that women have a role to play. I believe that women is a critical ingredient in developing our country. But more importantly, I need you as women to believe that you play an important role. I believe that if you as women can support your colleagues, because what happens is, when we put forward a competent, strong woman, women say, I don't want to support a woman. Just remember that she represents you, that she in her single capacity is a symbolic representation of your concerns, your wishes, your hopes. And women, it starts by you supporting you. It starts by you coming together. You can imagine if Boris Johnson didn't have the support of Mary Ingram, didn't have the support of Georgina Simonet. You can imagine Ruby Ann Darling didn't have the support of her friends. You could imagine a women's suffrage movement trying to achieve the rights of women to vote if they didn't support one another. Your issues are still the same. You've made progress. You've made progress to be a part of this democracy and being able to vote. But your challenges still exist. The challenges still exist. And so the same effort that you came together to move a women's suffrage movement is the same effort you need today. Outside women, us as PLPs, we need to do our part to keep the flag flying. So I ask you PLPs, how much fight you got left? How much fight you got left? How much fight you got left, PLPs? Far too often I see PLPs holding their heads down. Our party history is too rich, too proud, too bold, too fast to be holding our head down. We must know who we are. And if they don't know who we are, we must remind them of who we are. Our party is the party of teachers, of farmers, of lawyers, of doctors, of rich and poor. We represent the Bahamian people. And make no mistake, if we are needed to fight, we will fight. If the people in Grand Bahama faces one of the biggest environmental catastrophes in our country's history. I laugh because I remember all the town meeting around Jerome, Fitzgerald, and Rubus.
Oh, yeah.
You have a government who is silent. Silent when an oil spill threatens one of our country's biggest fresh water resources, and they are silent. And so I ask you PLPs, how much fight you got inside of you when our country's largest water resources, natural fresh water resources, they compromise. So I ask you PLPs, how much fight you got in us when our teachers saying working longer hours, less pay, and we got a ministry that don't respect us. I ask you PLPs, how many fights you got left in you? I ask you, when the Bahamian worker go to Bahamas and Atlantis, and his rights and dignity as a worker is being compromised and being disenfranchised, and the Bahamians spend every year training a foreigner over and over and over to do a job that they know that they are capable of doing as a Bahamian. So I ask you PLPs, how many fight you got left in you? I heard a story of a man, PLP. He called on Monday. He said, Prime Minister, I'm so happy to tell you, we've made progress after a period of time in finding the funds to get surgery for my wife. One day later, he called back and said his wife died. We live in a country where if you cannot afford it, you will die. And when we try to move national health insurance to ensure that Bahamians have access to decent care, whether they were rich or poor. So I ask you PLPs again, how much fight you got left in you? I go further and say, I heard a story of a young lady who worked 2 jobs. She teach at night, and she work at Bahamas. No, she teach at day, worked at Bahamas at night. And no matter how she worked, she still can't make ends meet. So I ask you PLPs again, how much fight you got left in you? Let me tell you what fight we require. I tell you the story of Lane Poitier, who was passed. She walked from Lewis Street to Gambler House to show us support. And as shown us me and the SG could find this secret hero of the PLP who came to Gambler House and paid her dues in coins. That's the fight we need. We aren't enemies in this fight. We are all common friends. We share different stories. We come from different walks of life. I joined the PLP because I thought it was the last vehicle to advancing the Bahamian people. I felt that the PLP was the last shot we had of finishing the promise of majority rule. We have achieved the right to vote. We've achieved the right to self-governance. We have governed a lot of times. What we have not achieved is the economic emancipation of our people.
Yes.
And until our people can determine their economic destiny as a country, then I ask you PLPs, how much fight you got left? So I thank you for having me. I let you know that as you look on one end of this room, you see Hope Sean. On the other end of this room, you see Senator Joe Colby Davis. What you see, PLPs, is the beginning of a torch being passed. A new chapter in our history is being written. Oh, sorry. Let me try it again. So I ask you, PLPs, to look on the left of me, look on the right of me, and see the baton being passed. And I know in this race, Hope Sean will be out by her side, and she will be by her side. And I use that example to show you that the PLP is growing, that new leaders is rising, we have no reason to be afraid.
No.
Our part that demonstrate that the PLP is a training ground for future leaders.
Yes.
And yes, we will have new names. And yes, we will have new faces. But what is important, whether they are new or old, is they have the moral courage to understand that we as an institution have an obligation to the Bahamian people, an obligation that we will not compromise on, we will not delay on, because we know that we have a responsibility to wipe every tear from every eye, no matter how long it takes. So I end with this message again. I ask you PLPs, how much fight you got left in you? Thank you. God bless.
Thank you, Latrae. Very encouraging speech. Before we continue,